What kind of money goals did you set for 2022? Are you looking to finally pay off the rest of your credit card debt? Perhaps you're looking to have a certain amount of income in the new business venture that you started. Or could it be that you're aspiring to buy your first home? Could it be that finally, just finally, you're going to save up enough to do that month-long trip hopping around Europe that you've wanted to do for years? Whatever your financial goals may be for 2022 and beyond, I absolutely want you to hit every single one of them. But to help make sure that you actually do that, I need you to stop and double check a few things first. You see, if you've sat down and taken the time to use the SMART goal system for setting your goals, you made sure that it was specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, well, even if you did all of that, you actually can still make some pretty serious mistakes that would result in a very disheartening end of the year. And I don't know about you, but the worst thing for me is to take the time, energy, and effort to map out this beautifully planned goal only to come to the end of my timeline and discover that your girl was way off. That's why today I've decided to highlight 5 very common rookie mistakes that people make when setting money goals and what to do if it just so happens that one of these mistakes is your testimony. Hey dreamers, and welcome back to my channel where we break down all things money so it can stop being an obstacle and start being what it was designed to be, a tool to help you create the life that God has designed just for you. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to introduce myself to anyone who's new to the channel or the podcast. My name's Tiana B. Clues, and I'm an executive pastor, author, speaker, and coach who's made it her mission to help Christian women trapped in the 9-to-5 break through the financial barriers that have her saying, wait, not yet, maybe never, to what it is that God is calling her to do. Look, I know that God put you on this planet for a very specific reason, and ideally we want to get to a place where we can afford to go do what it is that God is calling us to do. And yes, some things are major leaps of faith and some things just require a little bit of planning. This channel is all about helping you, well, really with both. So if that sounds like something you need in your life, let me know by liking the video and following my channel by clicking the big red button below. Don't forget to hit the bell so that you're notified every time I drop brand new money tips and biblical strategies designed to help turn money from your biggest stumbling block into your greatest ally. Now that we're all introduced, let's go ahead and dive into these 5 rookie mistakes. And I want to start with one that you've probably heard 1,000 times, but it's so important that I just have to go ahead and just put it at the top of the list. So the number one rookie mistake that people make when setting money goals is that they never actually write them down. They just kind of keep them in their heads. Now, unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you have probably heard the statistic many times that if you write down your goals, if you just take a little bit of time to put your goal down on paper, that your likelihood of achieving that goal increases by up to 42%. And I don't know about you, but I'm perfectly happy to increase my likelihood of hitting a goal by such a large percentage just by doing such a quick exercise, i.e. writing it down. So if you haven't written down your money goals or really any of your goals for 2022, just stop the video right now and go write them down before we move on. Seriously, hit pause and write them down. Now that I'm talking again, I'm going to assume that you have your goal written down. So let's talk about the second common mistake that people make when they are setting goals. And the second mistake is not having a clear plan on how to actually reach that goal. Now, many people think that whenever you set a SMART goal, the fact that you have to figure out whether or not the goal is attainable kind of eliminates that problem. You end up creating a clear plan on how to reach that goal when you do that basically attainability analysis, right? Well, not necessarily, because some goals require more detailed math than others. And if you have a goal that requires less detailed math to figure out whether or not it's attainable, you actually can mess this up pretty badly if you're not careful. So here's an example that often messes up people, especially when they have a higher income. So let's say that you set a goal that you want to save $500 a month for the next year so that you can have a $6,000 emergency fund. Okay, cool, let's rock it, right? Now, let's say that you also make $7,000 a month. Like you literally bring home into your bank account $7,000 a month. Well, when you stop and do the math, it's not that complicated. $500 from $7,000 is roughly 7%. And that's pretty attainable unless you live in like New York or California and don't have roommates, so all your money's going to housing. But that's a totally different conversation. But typically, 7% of your income from a $7,000 income is super attainable and is no problem to save. The problem is that if you actually have a history of spending all $7,000 every single month, then what's going to happen is that when you come to the end of a month, you're not going to have $500 to save because you didn't create a plan on how you were no longer going to spend that $500 a month. So it's really important that even though the math to figure out whether or not the goal was attainable was really simple, you still had to create a plan on the action steps you were going to take to make that actually happen. So maybe the plan that you settle on is that you're going to go to HR and you're going to have them start splitting your paychecks. And so every pay period, maybe you get, let's say you get paid twice a month. So every pay period, you're going to have $250 from your payroll that goes into another savings account that you don't even look at because it's at another bank. And then the remainder goes into your normal checking account. Now, if you have a goal where you don't have a clear plan on how you're going to make it happen, and if you take a moment, you sit down, and you're still kind of struggling on how to figure that out, well, I actually have a video that I did talking about creating action plans for your financial goals that you definitely should check out. It's going to help you get that thing done. And worst case scenario, if you still have questions, just hit me up. We'll do a financial breakthrough strategy session. Just go to tianabclewis.com/breakthrough, which go to 30 minutes, and we'll get through it. Okay? Either way, we'll get it done. Now for rookie mistake number 3. Yes, you may have an action plan. However, it is very possible that your action plan is overly ambitious. Now, the easiest way for me to get people to understand this overly ambitious thing really is to relate it to weight loss, because it's something that pretty much every woman and every man has dealt with at some point in their life, unless you're one of the few people who have trouble gaining weight, which my natural instinct is to say you're one of the lucky ones, but I know some of those people and they really struggle with their inability to gain weight. They trying to get curves and BBL bodies too, and they can't seem to, make it happen naturally. So I'm not going to say you're lucky for this. I'm just going to say I don't have that testimony, but I understand being frustrated and not being able to hit your goal weight. How about that? Anywho, so imagine though that you're sitting here trying to get to a lower weight. Say you're trying to lose 20 pounds. Well, think about the time that you set a plan where it's like, okay, I'm going to work out 5 days a week for an hour. I'm going to eat no sugar. I'm going to eat no carbs. And I'm going to make sure that all of my meals are natural, home-cooked meals with organic fruits, vegetables, and low-calorie meats like, chicken and turkey. And that's what I'm going to eat. And you lasted maybe a week and a half if you were lucky on that, because at the end of the day, the way that your life is set up, that was flat out unsustainable. Well, that's what a lot of us do when it comes to our money goals. We will set these really ambitious action plans that just aren't realistic when we think about it. One of the things that people will do when they're trying to figure out whether or not a goal is attainable is try to figure out how much money they can afford to set aside each month for that particular goal. So let's think about the example that we have from rookie mistake number 2. Let's say though that instead of wanting to save $500 a month, you want to save $1,000 a month from your $7,000 budget, but you live in New York, you don't have a roommate, and that rent up there is painful, okay? So let's say that's your situation and you went and you looked at your budget and you decided that $1,000 a month was attainable, because if you just do your own hair and nails, you don't eat out anymore, you don't go to any more happy hours, you stop going to Broadway, and you don't do any vacations for the year, you're going to be able to hit your goal of saving $1,000 a month, no problem. The issue is you're taking the entire $1,000 that you're able to save by cutting all that stuff out, and you're not leaving any room for unexpected items or issues or lifestyle things to occur. Because I'm going to be honest with you, even though I work from home, It is not realistic for me from a lifestyle standpoint to think that I'm not going to eat out. It's not realistic. I spend way too much time headed back and forth from church, doing grocery pickups, helping out like my mom with stuff. And so because I'm on the road quite a bit, it's not realistic for me to think that I'm never going to eat out. And your lifestyle might be the same way. So your plan might sound great, but for you and your lifestyle and who you are and how you function, it just might not be realistic. So I wouldn't encourage you to say, I'm going to take the entire $1,000 that I can afford to pull out my budget. I might say instead, take out $750 or take out $500 and leave yourself some room for lifestyle and for random things to come your way. So that being said, if you have a plan that's overly ambitious, the first thing I would do is just look at the number of changes that you've committed to making and then begin to pare that back. If you committed to making 7 changes, why not reduce that to 1 or 2 major changes, the ones that will have the biggest financial impact? Rookie mistake number 4 is having too many financial goals that you're tackling at the same daggone time. Now look, I've been guilty of this. So many of my clients are guilty of it. And I can understand, especially when you've been trying to do this whole financial journey thing on your own, because the truth of the matter is like different money experts and gurus and things will tell you like, there's these like 5 or 10 different things that you have to be doing right now. Like you have to be building your emergency fund. You have to be paying off your debt. You have to be buying a house because that's what good, smart, responsible adults do. You have to max out your 401k match. You have to be investing in cryptocurrency. Otherwise, you are going to miss out on the opportunity to make all of these coins. You have to be investing in real estate because you're going to miss the beauty of this buyer's market. You have to be saving for your kids' college funds and on and on and on. Okay, yeah, that's a lot to do. Here's the problem. Trying to multitask with your money is like trying to multitask with your time. When you try to multitask with your time, you don't really make a whole lot of progress on any one thing. If I'm trying to read an article and write an email and respond to messages on Slack at the same time, it's going to take me 3 times as long than if I just first read the article, then responded to the email, and then responded to the Slack messages. Well, same thing when it comes to money. When you're trying to do 10 different goals with your money, you're actually taking that limited resource and just spreading it too thin. And so that's why it ends up looking like you're not making any progress anywhere, because instead of having, $1,000 go to one goal and seeing that goal move by $1,000 every month, you're seeing 10 different goals move by like maybe $100 if you're lucky. It's especially when you consider interest on debts. Well, I'm just saying. So it looks like your goals aren't really making a lot of progress, and that can be extremely frustrating. So if you have a lot of goals that you're chasing at the same time, what you really need to do is pare it down to one goal at a time, and tackle that one goal with the financial resources that you have available to do so. And so instead of having to put $1,000 on 10 different things, just put the $1,000 on one thing, knock that one thing out, and then move on to the next goal. When you take the time to chase one goal at a time, you move the needle faster on individual goals, and then you can actually kind of snowball the effect, because any positive financial benefits that come from achieving goal 1 can then be taken over into goals 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what you need to do is figure out which is the first goal that you want to tackle, chase after that one, and then know where you're going to go next, which goal is going to follow after you've knocked out goal number 1. Now that I'm walking through my talking points, I just realized that while I was talking about rookie mistake number 3, I actually brought up rookie mistake number 5, even though they're technically 2 separate things. So let me clear this thing up real quick. Rookie mistake number 3 is that you had an overly ambitious game plan, an overly ambitious action plan that required you to make too many changes at the same time. But the thing that I brought up is that sometimes your overly ambitious plan doesn't leave any room for life to happen, for life's curveballs to occur. Well, actually, I realized as I was going through my notes again, that that's really rookie mistake number 5. So you're going to get a little repetition here, but it's important enough that I want to go ahead and talk about it anyway. So rookie mistake number 5. When you create money goals, you leave zero room for variability or for really life to happen. Now, look, I don't know about you, but I've had times when I had a tire get got by a nail. I've had a crack in my windshield that was so big that I had to get my windshield replaced. I've had issues where, I discovered that one of my kids grew out of his clothes faster than expected because the sucker decided to have a growth spurt in the middle of the season. There have been times when something happened at my mom's house and I really need to just, scramble really quick and pull together some money to pay for that thing because, maybe she just didn't have it sitting there at the moment. Sometimes things in life just happen and we have to make shifts, adjustments to accommodate those things that happen. And sometimes what happens is that when we look at our budget, we will take 100% of what's available to use towards the goal and we will make that 100% the basis of the goal. Like I mentioned in rookie mistake number 3, if your budget says that you can afford to put $1,000 a month towards your goal, you might decide that your goal of your new emergency fund is to have a $12,000 emergency fund. Well, maybe it's better to have a goal of $9,000 because it gives you $3,000 of wiggle room just in case something in life goes along. Because if you've lived long enough, you've probably figured out that something's going to go wrong here and there throughout the year. So, like I mentioned in rookie mistake number 3, if you find that you've taken the entirety of what you can afford to apply to a goal and you've used that as the basis for your goal, you need to take a moment and decide how much of that are you going to pare back? Are you going to pull it back by 15%, 20%, 25%, maybe even 30%, just to give yourself some wiggle room just in case something goes wrong in life? And if nothing goes wrong in that particular month, then go ahead and take the money from that month and add that to your goal, which then technically speeds up your goal instead of you risking slowing down your goal because something went wrong. All right. There you have it, the 5 main rookie mistakes that people make when it comes to setting money goals. 1, not writing it down. 2, not having a clear action plan on how to get there. 3, having an overly ambitious action plan that's really not realistic for your life. 4, having too many goals to tackle at the same time. And 5, not leaving any room in your action plan for, life to happen, which then results in you not hitting the goal and you being disheartened, and nobody wants to be disheartened. So tell me, what do you think about these 5 rookie mistakes? And do any of these mistakes happen to be your testimony for 2022? If so, let me know. And most importantly, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to fix it? And maybe that isn't a mistake that you've made in 2020, but you made that mistake in the past. Well, let us know. And how did you fix it? How did you improve upon it for 2022? Your girl wants to know, and you never know. You may actually reveal a new strategy to me that I hadn't even considered. So drop it down in the comments. I want to know, and so does everybody else. Now, as I mentioned before, some of you may require a little bit of help when it comes to figuring out how to address some of the rookie mistakes that you made when it came to setting your money goals. Because maybe you made one of these mistakes, but you're not quite sure how to put maybe the action plan together, or maybe you're having trouble tweaking your action plan, or maybe you're trying to figure out what is the balance between what's ambitious, too ambitious, and not ambitious enough. How do you find the balance? Well, hey, that's why there's a money coach on the line who's ready to help you out. All you gotta do is get some time on my calendar for a free financial breakthrough strategy session. Well, we'll come together for 30 minutes to figure out where you are, where you want to be, and how we can bridge that gap to get you from point A to point B using your money goals and a really good action plan. So if you want to actually set up some time to have that conversation so we can fix any rookie mistakes that you made, all you have to do is go to my website at tianabclewis.com/breakthrough, answer a couple of questions. I think there's really 4 questions, and then schedule some time on my calendar. It'll take you, maybe 2 minutes if you're typing slowly. Yeah, it's super fast. Now, as you know, I gotta stop you for a second because if you like this video, I need you to let a sister know so she can create more content like this, okay? So go ahead, like the video, and also if you haven't already joined the Selah family, go ahead and follow my channel by clicking the big red button below. Don't forget to hit the bell so that you're notified every time I drop brand new money tips and biblical strategies designed to help you bust through the financial barriers that have you saying, wait, hold up, to what it is God's calling you to do. Now, sis, we're literally going to move into this thing full time, one way or another, and I'm here to walk out the journey with you as a team. So, all right, click those two buttons and then go ahead, head to the website, tianabclose.com/breakthrough, schedule your free session, and yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna get back to work. You go get your session scheduled, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.